All right. I'll pull up my Google Doc on my phone. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Fair It's Gone. Another hectic week in baseball. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. We'll get into some of that later on the pod. Just recapping the standings right now. On top of the NL East, the Braves and Marlins are tied. In the Central, the Cubs are up 3.5 on the Brewers and the Cardinals. And, the Cardinals have only played 8 games as of now. Over in the National League West, the Dodgers are up 2 games on the Rockies. In the AL, the East, the Yankees are up 2 on the Rays. In the Central, the Twins are up 1 on the Indians. And in the West, the A's are up 4.5 on the Astros. I think the biggest surprise for me is the Rockies right now.
Yeah.
They've kind of come out of nowhere. We said it last pod. We said it probably 87 times in the prolonged offseason that if the Rockies could pitch, they could do it. I don't think I ever even talked myself into that. But hey, they're proving me wrong today. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. They've definitely been a surprise, more so for me and I think for y'all, because you both were saying that if they had the pitching, they could make some noise. I was not really a believer, but I've come around on them a little bit. I'm still a little skeptical in their pitching, and I'm not sure if they'll be able to keep up this pace, but yeah, they've been solid. Arenado's not even hitting that well. It's been basically all Charlie Blackmon and the rest of a pretty average lineup. But yeah, they've been solid.
Yeah, I know, like Gabe said, I'm definitely a bigger believer in the Rockies than Gabe was for sure. I think Justin and I were probably around the same level, but I'm not convinced that their staff can keep it up. But the just roller coaster that their pitching staff has been in the last 3 years. Great 2018, really, really bad 2019, and then so far in 2020 in a short sample, they've been really good. And they let Jake McGee go, and he's got a 0 ERA right now for the Dodgers in like 8 innings.
That's just wonderful. But
that's how the Dodgers roll.
Yeah, Freeland's kind of bounced back to, I wouldn't say Cy Young form, but he's been extremely good as he was Cy Young form 2 years ago. German Marquez has kind of took form. John Gray's figured it out a little bit, but their bullpen, I think, has been the most impressive thing. It's been a lot of no-name guys that include Daniel Bard, Estevez. If y'all know more off the top of your head, by all means say them, because I don't.
Oh, I got the roster pulled up right now.
I couldn't tell you. Is Greg Holland still there? I don't think he is anymore. I think he's back in Kansas
because
City.
they cut $70 million of pin arms between Brian Shaw and Jake McGee, just in them two, coming into this season.
I'm not a big believer in paying relievers a ton of money unless you have like absolute top flight Aroldis Chapman type pitcher. Because relievers are so wonky. Like 1 year they'll have an ERA like 5, and the next year they'll be at 1. It's really hard to find a consistent bullpen arm. You know when you see them. And Ryan knows David Robertson. I thought that was a decent sign by the Phillies, even though it hasn't worked out at all, of course. But
he hasn't even been ineffective. He just hasn't been on the mound.
Yeah, another guy like the Rockies we were talking about, Jeff Hoffman in 8 innings has a 1 ERA, something like that. Like it's just a lot of no-name guys I've never even heard of half of them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where they're making their bread and butter. But yeah, when you got Blackmon and Story and Arenado, and then you have a lot of good plug and play pieces. But when you have 3 guys that you can basically hang your 2, 3, 4 hitters on, you're gonna hit the ball well.
Whoa, my mind just got blown. I did not know they had Matt Kemp.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Collecting the paycheck.
Playing baseball.
Solid.
Playing good baseball.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I'd say the other surprising thing for me, if I had to pick 2, it would be the Rockies, and then the other one would be the Cubs playing so well this season. The exact same story. We don't have to beat the dead horse. If they could pitch, they're going to win ball games. And Yu Darvish is starting to look more like the Texas Yu Darvish of years past than kind of the ones we've seen in the last couple years, where his stuff is filthy. He's throwing 74 different pitches at guys, and you're really not sure how anyone's even making contact with him.
Yu Darvish is a guy to me. That's confused me for so long. If you have so many pitches, good pitches, they're not just like I have 5 or 6, 7 different pitches. They're at least 3 or 4 of them are good, really good pitches. It blows my mind that he couldn't be more effective the last few years. I haven't watched him pitch all that much, so location maybe might have been a problem.
He tipped his pitches in game, I believe it was 5 of the 2017 World Series. He had a terrible World Series performance. Still got paid in the offseason, and he was bad all of 2018. And I think last year in the second half, his control was just off. And I don't know if it was something in his head or if
Maybe
he kind of fell off a little bit. But ever since the second half of last year, he's been kind of back to the Texas Rangers Yu Darvish that he was before.
maybe like if he was tipping pitches, like you have to adjust your mechanics. Like that's tough. I can imagine that's really tough to have to be like, okay, I have to change the arm slot I throw this pitch from, and now that pitch's movement perhaps gets affected or location, and then you're all messed up. So it takes some time perhaps to fix that. So maybe that you're right, might be right, Ryan. That could be a thing.
Yeah, and
because
the Cubs are kind of doing this without Chris Bryant as well.
Yeah.
He's played very poorly so far this season. I'm not surprised, but I mean, I like Chris Bryant. He's got a lot of potential, but it's been a downhill slope since 2016, and he doesn't look like he's getting any better. And I'm not going to sit here and rag on the guy too long because I want to focus more on the positives, but it's tough to watch right now for him.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys. I feel like there's a lot of guys you could say this about, but definitely Chris Bryant. Baseball's just more fun when he's crushing. Like, fun guy to watch. His follow through is just beautiful, and sucks to see him, a guy that's still in his prime. I think he's 27, 28?
28.
I mean, he's right in his prime years right now, and he's 4 years removed from his best season. And I feel like he has right now had the career trajectory that we thought Harper was going to have 2 years after Harper's 2015 season. And Harper has turned it around, I think, and Bryant's just kind of kept falling.
Yeah. Speaking of guys who aren't playing very well for the Cubs, how about Javier Baez with a 63 OPS plus at the moment? Ouch.
60-game season can be tough.
But
do you think they're pressing? I want to ask you that, Gabe. Do you think they're pressing at the plate too much? Do you think they're in their head thinking, I have to do more now because there's less of a season?
I haven't watched the Cubs too closely, but if you're talking about stars of a team like that who are expected to perform, yeah. But you know what's a good thing, what I think is going to help them out, and why I think you're going to see a bump up in performance by both Bryant and Baez, is they're 13-8, and they have done absolutely nothing. I hope that's a very reassuring thing mentally when you're like, wow, I'm not doing anything, and the guys around me are still picking us up, and we're in a playoff position right now, and we haven't done a thing. So if they pick that up, yeah, the easy playoff team. Not even a question.
The big Cubs haven't surprised me as much. I know I was a lot higher on them than both of you. I was a believer in their pitching staff bouncing back, and even though Baez and Bryant haven't produced, they've gotten a lot of production elsewhere. But I'm really surprised in the Orioles' offense this season, and pitching staff to an extent. But you could have convinced me that, along with maybe the Giants, I think you could have made a fair argument going into the year that the Orioles had the worst offense in baseball. And they've been pretty darn good so far, especially considering the guys that they're throwing out on the lineup card every night.
Fifth most runs per game at the moment, third highest OPS. Now, that's not going to keep up, but they're definitely better than we thought they were, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
And they're at least average.
Yeah, no, Baltimore's been fun to watch all year long.
Not for me. They just swept the Phillies out.
Yeah, I think they swept the Rays earlier at the beginning of the year, like third series of the year. They took 2 out of 3 from Boston in the opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
They've been really good. Do you think? I mean, they're gonna decline a little bit, just regression. They don't have the talent level to maintain that pace. But 60-game season, they started hot. If they can, even if they only cool down a little bit, expanded playoffs.
We're already a third of the way into the season.
Are the Orioles gonna be that bad team to make it?
I hope so.
Boston's been terrible. If Boston keeps playing like they do, that's free. When we were probably talking about at the beginning of the year, I'm sure there were people saying, well, Boston might be able to make the expanded playoffs because they'll have free games against the Orioles. But now the Orioles might make it because they've got free games against the Red Sox.
Dude, Boston has been a train wreck. They're giving up 10 runs a night every night.
Yeah, there's bad pitching, and then there's the Phillies bullpen. Then there's the Red Sox whole staff.
It's tough scenes. You know what? One team I don't feel talking bad about though, the Houston Astros. I try to keep some things positive, more positive on a player note, but nothing makes me smile more than watching Jose Altuve hit under 200 and watching George Springer hit under 200 and seeing Bregman and all of them just struggle at the plate. They're 4.5 back of the A's. I find very much joy in that.
Cardinals.
Yeah. Heard that one.
Yeah.
Funny, Jose, I thought y'all were supposed to go on a revenge tour this year. How's that working out for you?
here's the thing.
The whole world was doubting you, and you're crumbling.
I said this before the season, and this has definitely been the case. You've seen it. Every team, every single night, is going to give their absolute best to beat you.
Yep.
So, yeah, you might have that little villain streak, which can be a good thing, by the way. But I don't think that outweighs the fact that every team is going to do their absolute damnedest to beat you every single night. No exceptions. And you've seen that. And Altuve batting under 200, yikes. I did not know that.
Springer's down. Altuve's under 200. Correa and Jordan just got back. He's, I think, hit pretty well in the 3 or so games he's been back. Correa's played well, but outside of those two, they've not hit well at all.
I still think they're going to be in the playoffs. They're 11-10, even with all that.
With expanded playoffs, I mean, they're, as much as I want to rag on Springer and Altuve and Bregman, they're still really good players, and they'll turn it around. I think, especially with expanded playoffs, they've just got too much talent to not make it. But they're going to have to split it out, I think. It's going to be closer than they wanted to be.
I think once they get to the playoffs, I think they'll be okay, because once you're in the playoffs, everyone's going to give their best every single night anyway. So that's not as big of a deal, in my opinion, but they got to get there.
Although having Verlander and Ozuna out hurts them a lot.
True.
Yeah, absolutely. Any last notes on the standings that you guys want to give?
There's a couple notes. I have two teams I want to highlight, both in the AL. How about the LA Angels? 7-15. Ouch. Trout has been better than normal Trout, which is saying something. Rendon's been good. Fletcher's been solid. Dylan Bundy's been a good pitcher for them, but beyond that, ouch. It's been awful.
Yeah, Angels fans hung their hat on Shohei Ohtani being a Cy Young candidate again and kind of carrying that rotation, and he's gotten hurt again. While Dylan Bundy stepped up, there's not but so much you can rely on when it's Teheran and basically a group of not proven pitchers or guys who may have a little experience in service time, but they're usually 5-hole guys. You can't score but so many runs. Trout can hit 4 grand slams a game. He might be able to hit 1 a game, but he can't hit 4.
It's actually really interesting to me, the comparison between the Rockies and the Angels. Both West teams, both have arguably a top 5. I mean, Trout's number 1, but a top 5 player in baseball, another elite player in Trevor Story and Anthony Rendon, and then a couple role guys that can really perform: Charlie Blackmon, Daniel Murphy, Justin Upton when he's on, David Fletcher, Andrelton Simmons, guys like that. And then it's kind of a bunch of question marks. And in the rotation too, got some talent: Herman Marquez, Shohei Ohtani, and then a bunch of question marks. And the Rockies have all the way around picked it up, and the Angels have fallen flat on their face, and they've gone the opposite directions right now, despite kind of having similar outlooks to start the year.
I love that comparison, actually. Looking at their stats in the roster, they're going to bounce back, and their expected wins-loss right now is 10-12, and in a short season, that's really bad luck. But in my opinion, if you start 7-15 in 22 games, it's already too late. They've already missed their chance, in my opinion. They would have to be way, way better than they actually are to make the playoffs. It's just not happening. So, yeah, another wasted year of Trout. Good job, Angels. It only took you a third of a season.
When you continually throw out AAA arms in your rotation to start the year, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yep. And any other thoughts on the Angels? There's one other team.
I understand that they're hung up with the Pujols contract right now, and I believe they're also paying Josh Hamilton. I can't remember if they are or not, whether it's them or Texas. I understand that they're a little tight struck for money, but you have a generational talent and arguably the greatest player of all time currently on your roster. And yeah, you added Rendon, but outside of that, I can't remember one decent signing the Angels have really had that's panned out. Ohtani, but I'm not going to say he's panned out yet.
He hasn't panned out for that contract.
Exactly. Rendon is there, and that's obviously a one-year thing, but what pitchers have they added? I can think of 2 to 3 pitchers the Angels have run out in the last 5 years, and 2 of them, it's because they died. Between Skaggs and Tommy Hanson. That's the only reason I can really remember the two guys out, and Julio Teheran, and that's just because he's a Brave. For the casual fan, I cannot tell you a single Angel starter in the last 5 years that I really knew.
I know definitely that, like you said, Justin, the Pujols contract and the Hamilton contract definitely hampers them. But if you are going to shell out $430 million for Mike Trout and however the heck much they signed Anthony Rendon for, wasn't it? Was it over 300 or was it just south of it?
Just south.
Just south. You're going to hand out over $600 million in contracts to two players. You have got to commit to spending to fill out the rest of your team or doing whatever it takes to fill that out. I understand. You know what? If you decide that you can't commit to the money to make a quality team around Trout, then as hard as it is, trade him because he's wasting away. I honestly don't know why he resigned there. I'm sure he likes LA. I'm sure he feels really beloved, but Trout's a guy that would be instantly welcomed anywhere. And I find it really hard to believe that there's not another team that would have shelled out that deal to get him.
Can we go off topic for just a minute? You bring up an interesting point, Ryan. Just like philosophy of a GM for a second. So you mentioned like potentially trading Mike Trout, and you would immediately get a response from, I'd say, 75 to 80% of fans, especially Angels fans. Like, no, never trade Trout, ever. But you think about it, like, why not? If you're spinning the ultimate goal here is to win a World Series, we have to first agree that is the ultimate goal. I don't think it's in your best interest to keep Trout if you're just going to spin your wheels like this over and over again. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. From a cut and dry standpoint, I completely agree. It just doesn't make sense. The only problem is just the optics of trading a generational player. That would be like if Cleveland had traded LeBron instead of him leaving. The optics are terrible.
Yeah, cut and dry, it works. If I'm sitting in a MLB The Show franchise, I'll probably flip and Trout for a bunch of guys. But in real life, I don't think you're going to make it out of LA if you do that. I think you'll be killed. It's going to be you're going to be fired and then killed. That's about as simple as that. It's a terrible look. It's something that I don't think you can actually do. But yeah, cut and dry on paper, it would be smart.
That's something.
Just from a purely logical point of view, like objective.
I completely agree.
I hear what you're saying. You're definitely right. But
that's something where, at least the way I see it, the only way they can actually trade Trout at any point, not anymore now that he signed that massive extension, but before that, is if he had said, "I'm out. I'm leaving in free agency." And they flip him either before his last year or at the deadline in his last year.
Basically, what if he would have pulled a bet? That's the only way you could have done it. Yep, I agree.
Man, last point on the Angels, we used to talk about the Rockies being the pitching graveyard. Now, sounds awful, but both figuratively and literally, it kind of has been for the Angels. Remember Nick Adenhart a few years ago? That was heartbreaking. First made his major league debut, pitched really well, and it was like 2 days later he was gone. So sad. I really feel for the Angels fans they've gone through the last couple of years. At least they have Trout too.
Yeah.
But yeah, on a slightly different note, last team I wanted to highlight, the most intriguing team in baseball at the moment, the Cleveland Indians. And I'm sure we're gonna get into the whole shebang, what's been going on with them later. So I'm not gonna talk about that right now. But they have the second lowest. What is this? Look at numbers here. The lowest batting average in the league. Second lowest OPS, second lowest OPS plus, the second lowest runs scored per game, and yet they're 13-8. That is how good their pitching has been. They have been unreal. 2.82 runs allowed per game.
Barinchak, dude, out of the bullpen, he's got disgusting stuff. He's going to be a stud.
Yeah. Like, this really weird team. Team to keep your eyes on. I think they actually, with how bad their offense has been, if their pitching staff can do anything close to what they're doing right now, even without Clevinger and Plesac, I think they're a playoff team.
Absolutely. They've got more talent in that lineup to be that low in offensive rankings.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lindor struggled to start out the year. He's really struggled. And yeah, no, y'all hit on the head.
How about J-Ram though? J-Ram's hit well.
Yeah, small sample size.
Yeah. J-Ram, Franmil have both been good. Franmil Reyes, by the way, good for him. I was really hoping he'd turn around. He's been good so far this year.
I saw Franmil. He took one off the hand the other day. He was not happy. He was not happy about it.
Who did they get him? for?
Padres.
Oh,
It was a Padres trade.
They got him from the Padres, but for who? Did he come over with Brad Hand?
It was a 3-team trade. I know that for a
Because
fact.
Franmil was with the Padres. I don't remember, but I don't remember them giving up much.
They didn't
for
give
him,
up
and
anything.
He's kind of pretty darn good.
They basically didn't go.
At least for what they gave up, they definitely won that deal.
So far, yeah, no doubt about it.
Oh man, Padres trade Franmil Reyes and Logan Allen for Taylor Trammell. So I guess we'll see, because Taylor Trammell's a pretty touted prospect right now.
Yeah.
So that
he was with the Reds. Was that the Bauer deal?
Yes.
That was the Bauer deal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. That's gonna wrap us up here on standings. Let's move over to stat leaders. I'm gonna save stat leader batting average because I feel like we're gonna have a good lengthy talk on that one. But right now, the league leader in OPS is Jesse Winker with a 1,196 OPS. Home runs, Tatis, Trout, and Judge are all tied at 9. RBIs, Blackmon and Santander are tied at 22. On the pitching side, Lance Lynn has a 1.11. Bieber's leading the league in strikeouts with 54. Britton's leading the league in saves at 8. Bieber, Cole, Dobnak, and Sonny Gray lead the league in wins with 4. Tatis has exploded the past 2 weeks. That dude has went from, wow, he's going to be really good, to, wow, he is really good. Without a question about it either.
Yeah, he's got the ceiling to be, I think, easily the best shortstop in baseball. No disrespect to Lindor or Trevor Story, but I mean, if he improves his defense even a little bit, the way he hits the ball, I was skeptical last year because I didn't think his numbers were sustainable, but he's done it again this year to start, and
I just saw something that blew my mind. He played in just over half the season last year, and his WAR was 4 point. This is just offensive WAR, not defensive, which is about 0. But offensive WAR 4.5 in half a season.
He was ridiculous last year.
That if he keeps that pace up, we're talking MVP as a rookie.
Yeah,
and he's doing it again.
He's that good.
Yeah,
I didn't know if he'd be able to maintain it, but I mean, small sample again this year, but he's been ridiculous. He might find his way into top 5 conversation in baseball fairly quickly here if he continues to play like this.
Absolutely.
Probably wouldn't be able to for me until middle of next year or so. But yeah, I know.
I mean, he's got to obviously continue at the pace he's at, but he is ridiculous. Him and Soto, man.
Face of baseball. I love it. I personally love it. I love seeing guys like that.
I gotta say, if I had to pick between Soto and Tatis right now, I'm taking Tatis.
He's a shortstop.
Yeah.
Yeah, shades position.
Yeah, I mean, between the two, definitely taking.
But that's like picking between two really good things. I can't think of. That's like picking between 2 supercars. Like you're not gonna go wrong either way. They're both amazing.
You want a Ferrari or a Lamborghini?
Exactly. Then it just comes down to personal preference. They're both insane. Soto's had an insane couple weeks since he got back from COVID as well. But I'm on the pitching side, or on the baseball hitting side. Good heavens, we're talking about younger guys, Judge, Tatis. Meanwhile, on the pitching side, we're talking about Lance Lynn with a 1.11. I'm not gonna sit here and say I was calling Lance Lynn to be some Cy Young candidate pitcher, but I would definitely was kind of more on his side. He was good in St. Louis for a few years, but he was kind of like second or third fickle, and now we're talking Cy Young for the second straight year.
I actually have not watched him pitch whatsoever since he was with the Cardinals. Have y'all seen him? What is he doing different?
I don't know, because he got traded to New York for half a season from St. Louis, and he was awful.
Yeah, like when we were watching him with the Cardinals, like he never
like this.
Yeah, it was like 92 mile fastball, nothing special. It's like a standard 4-starter.
If I had to take a guess, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like I watch Texas Ranger baseball games, but I've seen him throw a couple innings this year when I've been flipping through MLB TV. And I just think he learned to pitch. I think he stopped trying to be the guy that was overpowering guys with 94, throwing sliders that didn't even come close to the zone, but instead learned how to spot balls, learn how to tunnel, and just learn how to pitch. That's the best way you can put it. I mean, we've all known guys like that who just they used to have the stuff and they never adapt to not having the stuff. And Lance Lynn's just adapted extremely well. I think that comes along with having a guy like Mike Minor last year. I think both of them collaborated really well on that because they're both the same kind of pitchers, where the stuff is kind of deteriorating, but you still can pitch to a high level. And then while Corey Kluber may not be playing, he probably helped even more as coming to Texas this year. And now Lance Lynn's turned himself into a true number one and a guy we're talking award season.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah.
I'm on Fangraphs looking at his stuff right now. This is too complicated to talk about, but
meanwhile, on the flip side of Lance Lynn, we have a guy with Shane Bieber who's striking out every single batter who steps up to the plate. You know, I didn't buy the hype.
I'm at a loss of words with Bieber almost because I haven't watched him pitch, but he doesn't throw that hard. I mean, he sits 90, 92, 94, 95 maybe. He's not one of those guys that's going to go up there like Syndergaard and pump it 99, 100 every pitch. But man, he is just, striking out guys left and right. And we talked about it earlier, but his first two starts were ridiculous, and he has just continued that pace.
You know, in the offseason, we all heard a lot about Bieber. We heard a lot of people talking about how he could be more or less Corey Kluber's replacement, and I definitely did not buy that hype. I knew Bieber was good, especially after his All-Star game performance and his second half performance, but I wasn't expecting him to kind of burst on the scene like this. Wow. Mm-hmm. Just wow. It's almost like Corey Kluber never left.
Yeah.
That's how it's seeming right now.
Corey Kluber from 3 years ago.
Double-digit Ks in 5 games for Bieber. Every start, he's given up 5 hits or less. What's kind of crazy to me with Bieber is that he wasn't a highly touted prospect.
Oh.
He wasn't a guy like Casey Mize or Nate Pearson or Michael Kopech that was sitting at the top of these prospect rankings as far as I remember. He just kind of got called up. They needed some arms, pitched pretty well, grabbed a spot in the rotation, and then he's completely flipped a switch.
Similar to Aaron Nola in that regard.
Yeah, a little bit. Except Nola was like a top 3 pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in what round was he?
I'm almost positive Nola was.
Oh, he was first round. Oh, third overall.
Yeah.
You're right, actually. How'd you know that? How much do you study?
Where'd he go? Where did Nola go? LSU?
Yeah. I just remember everything.
Yeah. No.
I have no reason to know that other than I just heard it and I remember it.
I feel on that one. I say we just get to the big one now. Charlie Blackmon, does he hit 400 or does he not? Real quick, yes or no?
I'm gonna go yes, sure. I don't see why not.
Sure, why the hell
sure.
not?
I'm gonna go sure as well. It's been insane.
You can take the Ted Williams comparison somewhere else though.
Don't get me started.
Yeah,
it's a 60 game sample.
Who was that put that out there? Was that MLB that tweeted that or put it on Instagram? Something about Blackmon can be the first player to hit 400 in a season since Ted Williams.
That don't count.
Sure, but that's a little different.
Just a tad bit. Just, needs to do it for 102 more games. Don't worry about it.
60 games versus 162, but okay.
Yeah. The Ted Williams, it's not there, but it is truly impressive. Blackmon was hitting, he started the season 0 for 12, something like that, and then he's hit almost 500 since then.
Yeah, that's what makes it even more impressive to me is that he dug himself out of that hole in a small sample. 0 for 12 is really going to skew your batting average. And for him, I mean, he's hit like 500 since then. He's hitting 446 right now. I mean, that's the difference between hitting like 200 and 250. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's a fairly significant sample there, or the number of at-bats that is dragging him down and to still be hitting 446. If he had that 0 for 12 stretch now, I'd be more skeptical about hitting 500, but he's on the upswing.
Hitting 500?
Sorry, 400.
I mean, he's always been a good hitter, but I would say he's played second, if not third fiddle in that Rockies lineup. Whether you want to play Story or him higher, it's personal opinion there. But for him to break out like this, I can't say it's unexpected because somebody was going to do it. Regardless, somebody was going to break out like this. Charlie Blackmon, looking back, probably would have been a really good choice, just not to this extent at all.
Well, we were talking last year about Cody Bellinger right about this time of the year, 22, 30 games in. He was batting like pretty much what Blackmon's right now. Yeah. No, higher than 400.
He hit over 400 in, I guess we're not even a month into the season yet. So, right. He was hitting over 400. I think he hit like 415 in April.
So let's bump the race a little bit, but if he's in the right ballpark,
he doesn't.
He's a good hitter. Yeah.
Blackmon doesn't have to go. They played a little less than a month, about 3 weeks, but Blackmon doesn't have another 5 months and a week to go. He's got 5 weeks.
Here's a good way to look at it. So even if he doesn't play every game, he would pretty much have to bat like 370, 375 down the stretch. That's still a very, very, very tall order. So, if you look at it that way, that sounds harder.
You can do it.
But you can, sure.
Chuck Nasty is here.
Crazy.
Chuck Nasty is here.
He's hit almost 500 in how many? That stretch of ABs after he went over 12, he's hit almost 500 in how many ABs? And I think he can do 375 and slightly longer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I said he was going to do it, because why not?
Yeah. It'd be fun to see. I hope we don't get any Ted Williams comparisons when he does it. Ted Williams is rolling in his grave right now.
Brother, MLB just compared Mike Ford to Babe Ruth in a photo. MLB's going to compare anybody to everybody. But I mean, let's just get into our power rankings. We hit on the standings, we hit on the stats. Let's wrap it up with power rankings. Top 10. I'll just give you mine first. The number 10 spot, I have the Houston Astros. They may be struggling right now, but it's more than what have you done for me lately. Coming at the 9th spot, I have the Cleveland Indians. Coming in the 8th spot, I have the Rockies. 7 Braves, 6 Twins, 5 Rays, 4 Cubs, 3 the Athletics, 2 spot the Yankees, and the best team in baseball right now is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
What a shock.
What a shock, I know.
Yeah. I guess I'll roll through mine. I kind of weighted mine about 50% what they've done so far, and about 50% how I kind of expect them to play in the second half of the season, the rest of the season. So at 10, I've got Colorado. At 9, I've got Houston. I almost wanted to put Colorado ahead of them, but I'm still skeptical on Colorado's pitching staff, and I think Houston's just got too much talent to continue playing the way they are. At 8, I've got Atlanta. Again, their pitching staff I'm skeptical about, especially with Soroka going down. 7, I've got the Rays. 6, I've got the Indians. 5, the Twins. 4, the A's. 3, the Cubs. 2, the Yankees. And then number 1, again, the Dodgers. They're just, I think, right now head and shoulders above everybody else.
All right. So you put A's 4th, Ryan, which is interesting. I had them. I forget where I had them going, if I had them losing the playoffs, whatever. But Dodgers number 1, of course. They're like Alabama in college football. Everyone's going to pick their number 1. But number 2, I have the Athletics over the Yankees, and here's why. They're 6-2 above versus teams above 500. 4th best team ERA. Again, just like last year when someone said on this podcast that they had bad pitching. 3rd best FIP, 7th best OPS offensively. They're for real. They're a very, very good team. So yeah, that's why they're number 2. Although I will say it's very close to them, the Yankees, who are my 3rd best team. And have also been good despite injuries. 4 Twins.
Story of my life.
Sorry?
I said story of my life.
Sorry about LeMahieu.
Wait, LeMahieu's hurt
yeah,
too?
you didn't see that? It got placed on the 10-day yesterday.
Wait, yeah, I did see that. Thumb, right?
Sorry, Ryan. Didn't mean to cause you more depression.
And Judge and Stanton.
It's okay.
Wow, it's just
like
okay. Last year.
Miguel Andujar's here to save the day. Don't you worry.
He's still in the minor leagues.
Actually, no, he just got called back up. Outfielder Miguel Andujar is how they phrased it.
I need an explanation from Aaron Boone on why Miguel Andujar even has a glove in his hand. If he's not DHing, he should be pinch hitting exclusively.
He's an outfielder now, so it's okay.
Did you watch him in the first game of the season?
No, didn't need to.
First ball hit him. He completely misplayed it. A little leaguer could have made the play. It's like a ground ball at him, and he stabbed at it, and it just went right past him.
Love that.
He's here to hit dongs. That's all he's good for.
He can hit dongs at the alternate training site where he belongs.
Ooh. Weren't you the one saying he was going to break out this year, Ryan?
Yeah, and then we decided, and then I realized that Boone was. I still think he can hit, but we've shown that we're not going to play him at DH, which is the only spot in the lineup that he needs to be in. We've decided that we're going to DH Stanton, which now obviously won't happen. But as soon as we decided we were going to DH Stanton for the year, we just don't have a spot for him. He plays atrocious defense. I still think he can hit, but he plays atrocious defense.
It's fair. But anyway, thanks to our Yankees little sidetrack there. Back to middle list. I have the Twins 4th. Let's try to see where y'all put them. Yeah, pretty similar to y'all. I put the Braves 5th, and even though they're like only 11-10 right now, they're for real. I'm a big believer in the Braves. They'll be fine. The Rays number 6, Cubs 7, Astros 8, Rockies 9th, and the Indians 10. You know what? Let me flip flop the Rockies and Indians. I think the Indians are better than the Rockies, and that's how I'll leave it.
You know, we all had the same 10 teams. They could flip back and forth. I think the team that came closest to cracking my top 10 was the Padres, and that's more recency bias than anything. I think on paper the Padres are good, but not top 10. I think they came the closest. There's a clear top 3 right now, and that's Dodgers, Athletics, Yankees. And the Cubs coming in at a very close 4th, at least for me. I know, Ryan, you had them top 3, and there's plenty of arguments for them to slip in there. And then there's kind of the next 6. It's very clear cut right now with the power rankings. Obviously, MLB.com wants to get fanatic with it and get fancy and put, like, I don't know, the Padres at 9 or something. That article took years off my life.
I think the closest team to cracking for me, I think there was a pretty, I would say it was kind of weird we picked the same 10 teams, but it was very clear what the top 10 teams were.
Yeah.
I think Washington was probably the closest to cracking for me, but really, the top 10 were pretty obvious to me.
Yeah. Washington and San Diego for me. But Gabe, you were talking about, you thought I had the Cubs a bit high, and you can definitely make the argument to put the A's ahead of the Cubs, and I touched on it a little bit before. I know the A's have put up the pitching staff numbers, and at some point I'm just going to have to get over the fact that I don't think they have that much talent in the rotation and the bullpen because they're putting up the numbers, but I still am skeptical of their rotation, and I was big on the Cubs going into the year. I thought they could bounce back. Their bullpen's been a little iffy, but we touched on it earlier. They're 13-8 without any production hardly from Bryant and Baez, 2 guys that have either won an MVP or been high in the MVP conversation. And once they get heated up, I really think that'll push the Cubs ahead of the A's. But I'm surprised you have them so low.
Who, the Cubs?
Yeah.
Because, okay, their pitching, on the same token as we say if Bryant and Baez pick it up, which I believe they will, on the pitching staff I think has been too good to sustain. I'm a believer in Yu Darvish. I think he can keep that up. But the rest of the staff, John Lester, ERA 2.55.
I mean, he's not going to
sustain about that,
but he's not going to turn around and throw a 5 ERA the rest of the season either.
I'd be more of a believer in him having a 5 ERA the rest of the way than a 2.55. That's just me, though.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm with you, Ryan. It's hard for me to look at the Athletics numbers last year and this year and then look at the rotation and be like, no. There's no those are 2 different teams.
That's a rotation.
Right.
Yeah.
And no way I'm thinking that. And eventually, if the Athletics keep this up, I'm just going to have to get over the fact that the numbers don't lie, as I always have to get over the fact of personal opinions. I think both y'all have valid points when it comes to pitching staffs, because I don't think John Lester's going to keep up with a 2.55 at all, and John Lester could throw up a 5 ERA for the rest of the season. On the flip side of that token, not a single piece of me thinks that the Athletics are going to continue being the best pitching staff in baseball. Fourth best.
But here's my thing on that. So the Athletics, I think they're a top 10 pitching team in baseball, no doubt in my mind. Now, playoff-wise, that's a different story because they don't have those 1, 2, 3 guys that they can roll out there whenever they want to. And that's where that runs problems. But what they have is depth. And that really helps in the regular season when you know every single night you're going to have a chance to win the ball game. And that's huge in the regular season. Now, when you get to playoffs, that's a different story. We'll talk about that when the time comes. But for me, regular season-wise, Athletics are better than the Cubs. My opinion.
I really like, I think the Cubs top 4 in their rotation. And actually, Tyler Chatwood, he just landed on the DL, I think, today or yesterday. But he's been really good this year, too.
Yeah.
5.4 ERA. Yeah.
Huh?
He has a 5.4 ERA, but he's doing
okay. Never mind. I think his first couple.
He had 2 extremely good start off the year, and it's kind of gone downhill from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
Yeah, and I haven't looked at it since then, so I stand corrected. But
yeah, beyond him, the staff's been amazing. Like every single one of them.
I'm a believer in a top 4 of Kyle Hendricks, who's had some really good years in the past. Yu Darvish, who's got elite stuff. John Lester, who's I feel like John Lester's a guy that can turn into a little bit of a crafty lefty. And same with Quintana to an extent. If those guys were righties throwing 92, 93, I'd be more skeptical. But there's something about older lefties that I feel like they just find a way to get it done.
We're just going to see Josh Forget in like 5 years. Just the crafty lefty for the, I don't know. I guess it has to be the Dodgers, because the Dodgers are the only team that can turn guys like that into superstars.
Yeah. But
you see Josh Forget, the crafty lefty in 5 years.
Happy there's not too much discussion on power rankings. Top as we've stated, top 10 was pretty cut and dry. And again, the big thing, global pandemic, COVID. There's obviously 2 big updates. The Cardinals have only played 8 games this season. They did not play from July 29th until August 16th, which is, at the time of this recording, yesterday. They have 10 doubleheaders scheduled for the rest of the season. Lord have mercy. Help the Cardinals. Their pitching is already stretched thin.
Yeah, I don't know the circumstances around their COVID outbreak. If it was like a Marlins type where we're pretty positive it came from them being stupid, or if it was completely unintentional. But one thing that's not going to get talked about is how that's affecting the teams that they're going to have to play. I think they said the Cubs play them in like 3 or 4 of the doubleheaders. Mm-hmm. The Cubs are getting screwed pitching-wise, and that's due to no fault of their own.
I believe the White Sox play at least 2 of them as well.
Yeah, but yeah.
I'm going to go out here. So I've said this, and I'm a strong believer in this, that there should not be an asterisk beside any team who wins a world championship in any season, even if it's only 60 games, and I still believe that. However, if I don't want to call it an asterisk, but if there's 2 or 3 teams that are completely screwed over, let's be real. Okay, Cardinals are a solid team. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs playing 10 doubleheaders and like no days off? No, they don't have pitching for that. No team has pitching for that except maybe the Dodgers. Maybe.
Yeah, probably the Dodgers.
Probably the Dodgers. They'll probably pull up some double-A guy that'll shove for, I don't know, I'm going to Cy Young.
But half their bullpen are like converted starters too.
But you see my point though, like no, the Cardinals are screwed. If they do not extend the season, the Cardinals are straight up screwed. There is no conceivable way, in my opinion, that they can make the playoffs. Their hitting will have to be unbelievable.
Man, I wish I was upset by
that. How do you connect that back to the Asterisks?
The Astros?
The Asterisks.
Same thing.
You said it.
Astros. So, okay, what I mean by that is, now if you're another team who wins the World Championship this year, so in a normal season you're better than like 29 teams, right? Now this season you might be better than like 26, 27, however many kind of got screwed over by doubleheaders.
I would say yes if they determined if there was no playoffs and they just crown the best record at the end of the regular season the champion. But at the end of the day, you're still, especially with expanded
ask this question again though. Do you not think the Cardinals? Do you think the Cardinals are gonna make the playoffs with 10 doubleheaders?
No.
They have to extend the season, man. They got to do it, like by a week.
Nah, kick them out. Screw the Cardinals.
Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
If it means Yadier Molina's retiring sooner, deal.
I think you reap what you sow a little bit. Again, I don't know if it was due to recklessness or if it was completely unintentional, but weird circumstances. We've been saying this the whole time. Weird circumstances call for weird solutions, and that's just the hand they're dealt. You got to play doubleheaders. The teams you play are also going to have to play those doubleheaders. I know they're obviously going to have a lot more, but I don't really know what you can do about it. That's a lot of games to push back the season just for one team to have to finish. Now, if it was half the league that had the problem and had to like if that Marlins, Phillies, Yankees, Orioles postponement had spidered out and there were 10, 12 teams maybe that were missing a bunch of games, yeah, I think maybe then you look at postponement season.
Already at least 5 to 7 teams that are affected by this. Phillies, to a lesser extent Yankees and Orioles, but Marlins, Cardinals.
Yankees, but how many doubleheaders are the Marlins and that four? Because there's really just those four: the Orioles, the Yankees, the Phillies, and the Marlins.
Yeah, but there's gonna be more outbreaks. Let's be real.
Oh, I know. I mean, I guess we'll have to cross that when we get there. But if it stands that it's really that this is the end of it, and it's the Cardinals looking at 10 doubleheaders or extending the season just for them, I don't think you'd do it.
Fair enough.
And on the flip side of this, as we mentioned, we don't know if the Cardinals was reckless or not. I can tell you who was reckless, and it hurts. It hurts as one of the culprits involved is one of my favorite players in the league right now. Mike Clevinger and Zach Plesac are two absolute bonehead idiots.
I don't think there's words strong enough to describe how stupid they
went
are.
out on the town in Chicago. Basically, Plesac was it that Clevinger came back early and Plesac came back later, and Plesac got caught by security and somehow Clevinger didn't, and that's why Plesac was basically the news broke as soon as it happened, and he probably got sent on a nice Lincoln town and country all the way back home. And then meanwhile, Clevinger got sent back to Cleveland the next day for a 14-day quarantine minimum. And we
after riding the plane with the team,
it's idiots. I mean, I'll speak my piece and I'll move on. I'll speak my piece and move on. I love Clevinger. I love Plesac. I think they're both great pitchers. I like Clevinger's kind of attitude towards the game and how he presents himself on Twitter and stuff like that. But you can't be doing stuff like this. You can't. If you're gonna talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. And if you're going to talk that we need to grow baseball, and you want to be an ambassador for baseball, and you want to be a guy that people like, I want to pitch like Mike Clevinger, I want to be Mike Clevinger, you can't be going out and doing stupid stuff and putting other people in danger. That's my piece.
You cannot be the guy to ruin the season by doing something stupid. And I almost wouldn't even call it stupid, because they knew what they were doing. It's just indescribably selfish.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
To go out, it's not even stupid. It's just selfish. To put your teammates and your season and other team seasons at risk because you want to go out and have one night of fun. That's just, I don't get it. But I want the Indians to take charge and suspend Plesac and Clevinger for the rest of the season. And if they don't do it, I want the MLB to do it, because you have got to, if it's not already clear, which apparently it wasn't before because they did it anyway, you've got to make it clear that this is serious and that that's not tolerated. Because that could, it didn't end poorly, but it very well could have, and that could not only jeopardize their teammates' seasons, but that could jeopardize the rest of or other team seasons too, and there's just no place for it. I don't see any reason why they need to take them out again this year. It's just beyond stupid.
I think I agree with pretty much everything you said, except for the suspension for the full season. I yes, you have to establish that it's a serious offense, but okay. Here's my thing. I feel like there's a lot of peer pressure going on here, because if you think that Clevinger and Plesac were the only ones on any team to be going out at whatsoever, yeah, you're kidding yourself. There are people who are selfish who will do this. And it just seems wrong to me that only 2 people get caught and they get suspended for the full season when everyone else is getting off scot-free.
Well, that's too bad. You got caught.
Stuff happens like that all the time. People get away with stuff, and then other people get caught and get locked up. That's just the way it goes. But if you do the crime, you got to be able to do the time. And I think they knew. It's not like they didn't know it was stupid before they did it. They knew full well what they were doing. They're grown men, and they knew that there were potential consequences with their actions. Now, was the season-long suspension potentially staring them in the face when they did that? Was that told to them ahead of time? Probably not. Do I think that'll happen? Maybe not. Do I think it's an appropriate response? Absolutely. I know.
I feel like they're not going to.
Oliver Perez has already said he's going to opt out if they take them out again this year.
I feel like that. Oh, that's I thought.
How do you face your teammates after something like that?
Well, they already did and apparently got berated.
Yeah, they should have.
And they apologized. Okay, my thing is though.
Sorry, didn't cut it.
Okay, but do you think they're gonna do it again if they come back this season?
Do I think they're gonna do it again? If they do it again, I don't even know what to tell you.
Right. Okay, exactly. That's my point. I think the odds are very low that they're gonna do it again. Yeah, I think they've learned the lesson.
Yeah, well, I
would suspend them here, definitely. But like a full season?
We are suspending guys for 8 games for throwing a curveball over somebody's head.
Didn't even hit him.
Well, that was ridiculous.
So if we're gonna do that, then these guys should be suspended for minimum half the season. Minimum half the season. These guys should get a total of 4 starts combined for the rest of the season, at the bare minimum. Kick rocks, man. You not only put yourself in danger, you put your teammates in danger, you put other teams in danger, and you could possibly put the league in danger. Miami did it earlier in the season. None of them got caught, which that sucks, but they got away with it essentially. Well, too bad you got caught. You're gonna be the example being used. So kick rocks, man. Kick rocks.
I think 30 games would be appropriate.
And they, you know what though? They weren't the first to do it. Like you said, do you think they're the only ones to do it? Probably not. But there was a heavy rumor that Miami did it, and we saw how that happened, and then they still did it after that. At absolute minimum, 30 games. I think that less than that is ridiculous. I'd be completely fine with the rest of the season.
Brother, you are a grown man. How hard is it to get a PS4 and sit in your room? You're a PO. I understand the PO life's boring. You only have to play 1 out of every 5 days. I understand it can get slow. But if you're paying me millions of dollars to sit in a 5-star hotel with a PS4 and I have to go pitch a baseball every now and again, I'm not complaining. I'm sorry. I'm really not complaining.
Yeah, it's all the millions of dollars paycheck. I'm sure they're living pretty nicely still. They don't have much to do right now. All you got to do is relax.
I can't live the dream right now.
He's got a responsibility to his teammates. I don't know how you go in front. I know they already did, and they got ridiculed as they should have. But man, you think any of his teammates are going to listen to a damn thing he says anymore? No.
Well, he probably will, yeah.
Not at all. But one interesting thing I did see, at least related to Clevinger about this, he may also lose a year of free agency. Because if the Indians if they're not officially suspended, he's got options. If the Indians were to send him down for, forget exactly how many days it was, but about, I think, half of the remaining games, something like that, he would not hit the cutoff for making free agency in 2 or 3 years or whatever he was scheduled to hit it at. He would have an extra year of team control.
Extra year of arbitration.
Yeah.
Yikes.
All right. Yikes. I saw this thought floating around on a site. Oh, sorry. Finish your thought, Ryan. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to say, so not only is this going to, how stupid it was in all of that, but he may cost himself a pretty penny, too, in the future because of all this.
Good point.
And I won't feel the least bit bad.
Yeah, he did it to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other thing I saw on some site the other day, I forget where it was. It's kind of a wild thought throw out there, but what do you think about the possibility that either of them get traded?
No.
Because of this?
No. Traded because of this? No, because what team is going to say, oh yeah, these are stand-up guys. We want them in the clubhouse.
Hold on.
Teams that see,
hopefully the Braves.
That's a hard sell.
The Braves. With Max Fried in 4 double-A's in the rotation, I will be happy to bring Mike and Zach in and teach them and help them grow as young men in the Braves rotation. I will be more than happy to do that.
I think that teams might see the possibility that, like, we can get them at a discount because now everyone the Indians hates them.
I do think this is something where I highly doubt normally that GMs would consult their players before making a roster move, but I think this is a situation where you probably have to consult your players ahead of time. Kind of like when, Gabe, I don't know if you're familiar with the whole D'Angelo Russell and Nick Young thing back with the Lakers 2 or 3 years ago. Basically, Nick Young was doing some stuff on the side, and D'Angelo Russell snitched him out
to his fiance,
and the whole team turned on Russell, and he ended up getting traded. And
sounds like reality TV.
Yeah, But I mean, that's something the whole team turned on him. Nope, I'm sure a lot of people in the league lost trust with him, and I feel like this is a situation where if you're GM and you're gonna make that move, you have to consult your clubhouse before you do it.
Yeah. It's a mess. I don't think Cleveland trades him. I don't think they're worth
I don't
too
think
much.
so either.
But,
Just kind of throwing around a thought.
but
out
I
there.
guess for the last kind of big thing that happened this week, we have a hitting coach and a player getting into a brawl. Alex Cintron and Ramon Laureano. Laureano was hit 3 times in 2 games prior to this. I guess the third time he got hit was when it happened. Basically, what happened, Laureano got hit again. Wasn't exactly happy about it. He made statements that it wasn't because he didn't think you were hitting him intentionally, but I'm sure it'd be annoying to get hit by your 3rd pitch in 2 days. I've had it happen. It's beyond annoying. Basically, Cintron started barking at him down the baseline and was saying, according to Jeff Passan, saying some very vile things about Laureano's mother. And basically Laureano turned to him and just basically, you want the smoke? And Cintron was like, yeah. And Laureano ran, and Cintron made sure that 3 or 4 players jumped in between and made no effort to get to the front to take a fight.
Keep going.
No, that's what happened. And period. If you're gonna fight somebody, you're gonna push people out of the way to fight somebody. I'm sorry, Cintron, you're a big baby. You're a big baby. You're going to incite a fight. You better stand your ground. You're not going to let 4 or 5 people jump in front of you. You are a baby.
He wasn't getting held back. He stood there flat-footed and watched 3 or 4 guys step in front of him.
If you're going to incite a fight, take it. Take it.
It's not like he got held back by 2 teammates and then somebody else jumped in. He just stood there.
That'd be like challenging you to a fight and then pulling up with your 4 boys behind you. That's what that's like. It's garbage. Cintron's a baby.
I need to watch the clip again because I just don't remember seeing it like that. It looked like he was trying to get at him, and it looked like, okay, if I'm a player on the Astros, I'm not gonna let my coach just like.
I will.
Really?
If my coach is saying things about another player's mother, yeah, go kick rocks.
Ignore the fact that he was definitely in the wrong. I'm not. Cintron was definitely in the wrong.
Cool,
no
he's
doubt
in the
about
wrong.
it here.
That's why. If I'm a player standing right next to him and I heard him saying those things, yeah, sure.
I'm still gonna defend my coach even if he's wrong in that case.
Well,
because
you're apparently a better man than me. Then.
Laureano started charging him, and players stepped in, but it's at least the way I saw the clip, it looked like Cintron just stood there. Hey, I don't even know that he really moved forward. Like, Laureano charges him. Cintron's the one that was barking at him and talking smack and talking about his mom. Cintron should be going right back at him.
If you want the smoke, take the smoke.
Stand there and watch everybody take your fight for you.
If you want the smoke, take the smoke, brother. But apparently, I heard this on Starting 9. Dallas Braden wouldn't give us any further context into it, but he had heard stories that Laureano was actually with Houston back in 2017 and prior to that, and there could possibly be some old beef between them in the minor leagues between Cintron and Laureano, which is where this have sparked at. He didn't get more into it, but there could possibly be some sprinkles of past beef in there as well. So overall, pretty crappy situation that a grown man as a coach is barking at another player and saying things about his mother while walking down the baseline.
Yeah, just rewatched the clip. I kind of agree with you, Ryan. Yeah, he was definitely kind of. He would if he was actually mad, he would have made more.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yep. He picked the fight and then let his boys finish the fight for him.
Yeah.
Cintron got 20 games, so that's good.
As he should have.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if it's player to player, that's one thing. But if I feel like you got to be held to a higher standard if you're a coach picking a fight with a player.
Yeah.
I thought 20 was a little generous to him.
Yeah, well, of course, it's the Astros, man. It's Rob Manfred's baby. Laureano got 6, appealed down to 4. The appeal went through for the first time I think I can ever remember.
And if there's not a COVID situation going around right now, I would argue he should not be suspended at all. But he probably would have been anyway.
Yeah, I think 4 is fair. Ultimately, Laureano, regardless of what was said, Laureano did charge at him, and he's the one that turned it physical. And
to be fair, though,
I'm fine with 4 games. I think you do kind of have to slap him on the wrist a little bit, but it's like you were justified, but we still have to punish you a little bit.
if he hadn't charged, though, think about it this way: Cintron wouldn't have gotten suspended. So probably a good thing.
Here's the funny thing that I thought about this recently. These ballparks are empty, and you can hear everything. You know, dudes could be doing this all the time, and no one ever hear anyone because of crowd noise and everything. You can hear a pin drop in some of these stadiums when the built-in stadium isn't coming through. So Cintron may not have said it that loud, and Laureano caught a little thing of it and just turned his head. What'd you say? And that's when just it all broke loose. But yeah, I think Alex Cintron really showed kind of what the Astros culture has been the last couple years. Just adds fuel to the flames. Between Ozuna beating women, Gurriel being a racist, now you got Cintron talking about another player's mother. Yeah. Quite
stand up organization.
Yeah, quite a mess.
Well, that's what happens when you put winning above culture. Yeah. Which, I mean, they have won.
At what cost?
At what cost? What did it cost you?
Yeah.
Everything.
Okay, thank you.
Everything except your piece of metal.
One last topic before we get into...
Because that's what it is according to Manfred, right? It's just
it's just a piece of metal. That's all it means, ever. But one last topic before we get into our final topic of 3 stars. Young guys have really been up on the rise here. I actually got a request to start with Casey Mize, so we're going to start there. He's getting called up and making his debut Wednesday. I like Casey Mize. I think it's a stupid move on Detroit's part. I don't know if Casey Mize is ready. We've seen Kyle Wright get called up extremely fast in the same way Mize did. Obviously, Kyle Wright wasn't as touted as Mize, but kind of same scenario. Top pick that's getting moved along way too quick, I would say, in the organization, and now getting called up. It's going to eat into service time, risk injury in a 60-game season for the sake of, a couple starts. Again, I think Casey Mize is a great player. I think he has a long-lasting future in the league, but I think it's stupid for Detroit.
Yeah, I don't really get it from Detroit's perspective. They're not making the playoffs this year, and the amount of pitcher injuries that we have seen so far just make me really hesitant to do that, especially he hasn't pitched above Double-A either.
If there were minor leagues this year, I would agree with you. I think it would be stupid. I think they just want to get him some innings. I don't think they're going to throw him a ton.
That's fair too.
Yeah, I think they just want to get him a few innings against actual players. And the fact it happens to major league hitters, okay, we've heard this argument before. The difference between Double-A and major leagues is polish. Guys in Double-A are supremely talented. It's just a matter of getting it polished before they get to the big leagues. So, yes, obviously there's a huge jump in talent level, but they just want to get them some outings. And it doesn't hurt them. They're not going anywhere. Just get them some outings, get them some innings. And I'm, frankly, my personal opinion, this is kind of, I don't know if this is ignorance of me not going through the system, but especially for pitchers who have the stuff like Mize does, I'm not sure if that extra minor league polish helps you a ton. If you have a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, like, what are you going to gain in the minor leagues? Maybe a little better location, I guess. I don't know. Mental fortitude, I guess that's probably the biggest thing. It's your mental game.
I think mental fortitude is what you're going to gain from playing in AAA and the top minor league players, because I don't know about you guys, but when I watch, the difference between a Major League Baseball player and I would even say a AAA baseball player is how well Major League Baseball players hit mistakes. A AAA baseball player may miss a mistake. I'm not seeing Major League Baseball players miss mistakes. You leave one over the plate, it's going for a double or a home run in today's baseball. And as well as two-strike approaches. While strikeout numbers may be up, there's a lot of tougher at-bats. Those strikeouts are a lot tougher. I'm not seeing many 3-pitch, 1-2-3 year outs. There's going to be a lot of close calls that you may get real frustrated with.
I think what the Tigers are thinking is if he has to learn on the job, like, he needs to learn that mental fortitude. Since they're not going anywhere this year, it doesn't hurt them to throw him out now and have him learn it in the big leagues.
Well, it does.
It hurts their service time.
His service time.
True.
They are starting his clock now instead of. I mean, he's going to hit now. If they're calling him up now, he's going to hit free agency a year earlier than if they're going to have one less season of team control than if they called him up in May next year.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me.
And that's the only thing. Outside of service time, I completely agree with you, but just the fact, I don't know if it's worth starting his service time clock now.
Bingo.
I totally forgot about that. I'm not going to lie.
That's the big hang. The 60-game season, you're not going anywhere. I just don't know if it's worth starting it now, especially with just pitchers have gone down like crazy this year.
Bingo. I completely agree. For a team that's out of it, it's not like we're talking about top prospect getting called up for the A's.
And if they call him up and he does get hurt, his clock's rolling the entire time he's hurt too.
Yeah, and on a flip note, I kind of feel the same way about Brady Singer, Spencer Howard, Alec Boehm.
Yeah.
Spencer Howard, I don't know about, because he actually could be very helpful in the Phillies, and they're actually playing for something.
Yeah,
I like
Howard and Boehm I get. Mize and Scooble.
Singer.
And not as much. Singer, not as much.
I'm not a fan of starting guys' clocks early, especially in the 60-game season. If you can avoid starting a guy's clock in a 60-game season, then please do it. That's my biggest take on it.
If Pearson too for the Jays.
How long is the clock? 5-6 years for arbitration? 6? Yeah, I think in 6 years, Phillies were going to be gone. I think it was a smart move.
Phillies, I think, are a different situation.
Yeah.
Howard and Boehm coming up, I'm okay with. For the other team, like Toronto, even, especially Kansas City and Detroit, I just don't get it. They're not playing anything for now. They're not playing for anything right now. Their window, they're gonna have a better window in 6 years than they are right now. It just doesn't make sense to start it, and it sucks for those guys because I feel like Mize is ready. I mean, he could go out and put up as good of numbers as anybody in Detroit staff right now. He's arguably probably a top 3 pitcher in their organization right now. And same with Singer. I mean, he was good in his first couple starts, has fallen off a little bit, but I think he's putting up just as good of numbers as anybody else would in their staff. But it's just not worth starting their service time now. Those guys are worth more to them in 6 years than they are right now on the major league roster.
Yeah, especially if Mize is getting the comps that he's getting right now to names such as Corey Kluber, like prime Corey Kluber, because he's the exact same kind of pitcher. If he's going to be ace level for a Detroit team that looks at minimum 4 years out of any kind of contention, then there's no point to hit the start button and or risk any kind of injury in a season where you're doo-doo.
Yeah, makes sense.
More young guys. Luis Roberts looked amazing. He's looked really good for the White Sox. He's living up to the hype right now, without a doubt. I didn't think he would, but hey, prove me wrong. I'm here for getting proved wrong.
Kyle Lewis too.
Yes,
not quite as young. I think he's a rookie this year too. He's been outstanding for
Seattle.
Seattle.
Kyle Lewis. He's a guy that got drafted high. I think he got drafted 4th overall.
4th or 5th. Yeah, just had a lot of injuries.
Yeah, they got hurt, fell off the prospect board completely, and now he's back, crushing baseballs.
Back.
Good to see. Good to see.
And I would almost, I know this is his 3rd year in the majors, but I would almost throw Soto into that mix still too. He's younger than Lewis, I think.
Yep.
Which is crazy to think about. But speaking of the Nats, Luis Garcia got called up, I think, yesterday or today, hit a homer tonight. He's the first player born in the 2000s to homer in the major leagues.
I was born in 1998. I'm officially old.
I was born in 99.
You know, it's kind of that moment, like, you just be like, what have I done with my life? When you see guys younger than you succeeding in the big leagues. Like, I saw, goaltender for the Flyers currently in hockey, Carter Hart, has been amazing, and I've really looked up to him. As like, he's been really good. And they showed his age. He's younger. He's like 1 month older than I am. It's like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
Hey, some people are naturally gifted.
All right, wait. Both of you are older than Juan Soto.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Who has like
you don't have to remind me
60-something career home runs already.
You don't have to remind me.
It's just crazy.
It is. I mean,
I'm only 3 months younger.
It is. Guys are freaks of nature. There's naturally gifted. I mean, let's put it like this. We grew up with guys who we thought were naturally gifted and freaks, and they went to the D1 level, and then take that and like times it by 10, multiply it by 10. That's how good these dudes are. I mean, at some point, it's not what you've done; it's what you were born with. Like Juan Soto came out of the womb hitting nukes.
Yeah.
Still gotta work on it hard.
Yeah, it takes both.
Yeah.
But I could never work if for 21 years, if I worked as hard as I possibly could, I would still not be better than Juan Soto. Not even close.
What? Yeah. I'm not gonna go down a tangent on that, but yeah, it takes hard work and talent, but talent will carry you farther in a vacuum than hard work will carry.
Anyways, we're not going to get on the psychological talks. I can see Gabe suing up for a 30-minute psychological logical lecture that I didn't need to
I'll
hear.
leave that.
That I really didn't
I'll
need to
leave
hear.
that.
Getting red corner.
How about this? Generally, I don't know if I agree with that, and I'll leave it at that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
I'm definitely not gonna argue on that. But to wrap this up, let's get into 3 stars as always. Guys that have really surprised you over the week. My first star, it hasn't been over the week. It's kind of been over the week, but it's really been over the whole season. Mike Soroka goes down for the Braves, and we're sitting here looking at Max Fried, who, by Braves fans, everyone's saying he could be better than Mike Soroka before the season. No one really bought into it. Fried this season in 5 games started, he's 3-0 in 29 innings with a 1.24 ERA, which is second in the league to add on 28 Ks. He has stepped up for the Braves, unlike I even expected him to. The dude's a lefty, 6'4", 6'5", throwing 98, touching 98, throwing 94 to 96. Nasty curveball. He's been unbelievable. Probably my favorite pitcher to watch in the league right now. I mean, there's some bias in that, obviously, but the dude's been insane. Star number 2, Brandon Lau. Over the past 7 days, he's hitting 448 with a 1,500 OPS, 13 hits, 4 bombs. Just another name in the Rays lineup that he's not an all-star. We're not going to sit here and talk about him for 30 minutes, but he's producing just like everybody in the Rays lineup does. And my 3rd star, we touched on him earlier, Jesse Winker. In 30 at-bats this season, he's been insane. But in the past 7 days, he's hitting 650 with a 2,220 OPS. That includes 13 hits and 5 home runs. He is 13 for 20 in his past 7 games.
Solid.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
That's all right, you know.
Decent week.
Man, this gives me so much nostalgia doing 3 stars. It has been a minute.
It has been.
This is our first proper 3 stars too.
We sat through 9 months of off season. What an untimely time. What a terrible time to start a podcast. Content runs dry. Had to sit here and talk about 2004 like I honestly cared about it.
True. All right. Anyway, I'm just glad we got to 2008, so we can talk about the Players World Series. But my 3rd star for this week, I really wanted to highlight the Baltimore Orioles, how good their offense has been recently. It hasn't been just like 1 or 2 guys. It's been like the whole lineup has, as a team, produced, I think, was it 5th most runs in baseball or something like that? It's crazy. I don't know. Something like that. But the guy I wanted to highlight is arguably the second best, no, as of right now, statistically, the second best catcher in baseball, Pedro Severino, who has a slash line of 333, 394, and 633. The OPS over 1,000 and a 176 OPS plus. The guy's been raking. So I just wanted to highlight someone on the Orioles who's really been producing, because he's not going to get mentioned by the media. Let's be real. Now to one guy that's definitely going to be talked about by the media. I will guarantee that. Mookie Betts, who has been so far living up to his contract. My goodness, he's leading the league in WAR, which is insane. 8 bombs, OPS over 1,000. He's been amazing.
Note on Mookie Betts, he just tied the most games with 3 home runs in them of all time. He 6th game. Yeah, with Sammy Sosa and somebody else. I can't remember the other person.
Johnny Mize.
Yes.
He's only 27.
I did not know that. That's actually really interesting.
He's probably going to break that record.
Fun fact of the day.
So he gets streaky for like 1 night at a time.
Yeah.
It's good to know. My top star for this week, this one's definitely biased, being a Phillies fan, but my favorite player in baseball right now, Aaron Nola, who all he's done in the last 3 starts is go 2-0 with a .86 ERA against the Yankees, Braves, and Mets. By the way, this is not like the Marlins, Orioles, and Angels we're talking about here. 30 Ks in 21 innings. And yeah, he's been straight up dominant. Justin will tell you if he watched the game that he pitched against the Braves, and he was downright dominant.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to pitch when you have a 12-run lead by the 3rd.
It was close for a while.
No, it was never close. That game was never close.
Never mind. But I told you, actually, I think it was right after Darno. Yeah. Darno hit a home run off in the 2nd inning, but despite that, I told you, texted you that inning. I was like, he's got his good stuff tonight. And sure enough, after that, I think he went like 6 more innings, and Braves really did
I think they checked out that game.
Yeah. Like his curveball was moving, his changeup. Oh my gosh, his changeup in the last 2 years has developed so freaking much. It is dirty now. Like it's close to his curveball. Oof. But yeah, just want to highlight Aaron Nola because he's been fantastic.
He's great. He's got the potential to be top 10 easy, top 5 pitcher in baseball.
I think he's top 10 now.
Oh yeah, he's easy top 10, especially with how he's pitched at the beginning of the year.
Really, Justin, name me 9 other guys better than
this year or period?
Right now. Period.
9 guys. Hold on. Let me pull up some names. Hold on. Better than Aaron Nola. Let me see standings. DeGrom, Scherzer. DeGrom, Scherzer, definitely. Bueller.
Nope.
Oh, Bueller's not been good this year.
Wait, he said overall, not this year, bud.
I'm still going. Nope.
Charlie Morton, Garrett Cole,
Maybe.
Shane Bieber. I would still take Clevinger over him.
Okay.
Justin Verlander, Lance Lynn. So we're at 10.
That one's, I think they're borderline, but sure.
Sure. There you go. I just named 10.
Oh, I disagreed about half of them.
Well, of course you did, Phillies fan.
Opinions.
No, Nola's very good.
Yes, we'll leave it at that.
All right, and then rolling into my 3, I guess we each took a guy from our own team, so I'm gonna go Clint Frazier. It's killed me as a Yankees fan to see him kind of toil away in the minor leagues. I know some of that's been a little bit due to his antics and immaturity, things like unfollowing the team on Instagram when he got demoted, even though there's nowhere for him to play when everybody's healthy. I mean, I can't blame them for not giving him a shot. I don't know where you'd play him, but it's nice to see him finally getting some meaningful regular season ABs and playing well. I mean, small sample, but he's hitting over 500 right now. He's had a couple big home runs for the Yankees, and I just want to see him play. I don't care if it's in New York or somewhere else, but dude's a legit major league bat, and it kills me to see him just toil away in the minors. And then Juan Soto, 10 games back so far from COVID, hitting .425, 6 bombs, 14 RBIs, 13 runs in 10 games. He's reinvigorated that Nats offense because I was really worried about them without Soto, just how they were going to score runs.
I'm still worried about how they're going to score runs.
Yeah, but having Soto back when he's hitting like that helps.
You go from a Miami Marlins-esque lineup to at least a major league lineup. I mean, I was just talking to a buddy the other day who's a Nats fan, and he sent me their starting lineup to a game, and it with Trey Turner, Juan Soto, okay, good and great, Strobel Cabrera, Kurt Suzuki,
third.
Kurt Suzuki fourth, Carter Kieboom fifth. Who, if we're not using his Major League the Show Future Stars card, isn't good. And then it was like Victor Robles, Michael A. Taylor, and somebody else. It was a bad lineup. It was, but no, Juan Soto does improve that lineup by tenfold. Absolutely.
Ridiculous. And then another guy we highlighted earlier a bit, Lance Lynn. And he's gotten better his last 2 years in Texas, but just looks like a completely different guy this year. He's turned it on to another level. His last outing, complete game, 2-hitter. We hardly ever see complete games in this day and age of baseball. It almost feels rare now to see that. 1.11 ERA on the year, 5 starts, leads the majors in ERA. And in a short season, him and Shane Bieber, he's put himself right in the middle of the Cy Young conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's only been 6 pitchers that have a complete game so far this year. Just fun fact.
All right, final thoughts? All right.
No.
Not really.
All right, great.
I think we did it.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. Fun fact of the day.